The story of Abraham, often referred to as the father of faith, is one of the most captivating narratives in the Bible. It is a tale of divine calling, unwavering trust, and the profound friendship between a man and his Creator. But Abraham's journey was not without its trials. From his early days in Ur to his eventual fulfillment of God's promises, his life teaches us that faith in God does not exempt us from challenges. It equips us to overcome them. Abraham, originally named Abram, was born in the ancient city of Ur, a bustling metropolis in Mesopotamia. His father, Terah, was an idol maker, and the household was steeped in pagan worship. Yet, even as a young boy, Abram felt a stirring in his heart, a longing for something greater, something beyond the idols of stone and wood that surrounded him. One day, as the story goes, Abram took a hammer and shattered his father's idols, declaring that they had no power. This act of defiance marked the beginning of his spiritual awakening. It was a bold step for a young boy, but it set the stage for his future calling. True faith often requires courage to break away from the familiar and embrace the unknown. When Abram was 75 years old, God called him to leave his father's house and journey to an unknown land. Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. This was no small request. Abram was being asked to leave behind everything he knew, his family, his home, and his security, to follow a promise. Despite the uncertainty, Abram obeyed. He packed his belongings, gathered his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot, and set out on a journey that would change the course of history. Obedience to God often requires stepping into the unknown, trusting that His promises are worth the sacrifice. One of the most profound aspects of Abraham's story is the promise of a son. God told Abram that he would be the father of many nations, yet years passed without the fulfillment of this promise. Abram and Sarai grew old, and the hope of a child seemed impossible. In their impatience, Abram and Sarai took matters into their own hands, leading to the birth of Ishmael through Hagar, Sarai's maidservant. This decision brought strife and complications, but it also revealed the importance of waiting on God's timing. Finally, when Abram was 100 years old and Sarai was 90, God fulfilled His promise. Isaac, the child of the covenant, was born. God's promises are worth waiting for, even when His timing doesn't align with our expectations. Perhaps the most dramatic moment in Abraham's life was when God asked him to sacrifice his son Isaac. This was the ultimate test of faith. After waiting so long for the fulfillment of God's promise, Abraham was now being asked to give it up. Yet Abraham obeyed. He took Isaac to Mount Moriah, built an altar, and prepared to offer his son as a sacrifice. At the last moment, God provided a ram as a substitute, reaffirming His promise and testing Abraham's faith. True faith is willing to surrender everything to God, trusting that He will provide. Abraham's unwavering faith earned him the title Friend of God. Yet his life was far from easy. He faced famine, family strife, and the long wait for a child. His story reminds us that choosing to believe in God does not mean a life free from challenges. Instead, it means walking through those challenges with faith, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Friendship with God is not about a perfect life, but about a steadfast faith that endures through trials. Abraham's life is a testament to the power of faith, patience, and obedience. It teaches us that 1. Faith requires courage to leave behind the familiar. 2. Obedience often means stepping into the unknown. 3. God's promises are worth waiting for, even when His timing is different from ours. 4. True faith is willing to surrender everything to God. 5. Friendship with God is not about a perfect life, but about enduring faith. As we reflect on Abraham's journey, let us be inspired to walk in faith, even when the path is uncertain. Let us remember that challenges are not a sign of God's absence, but an opportunity to deepen our trust in Him.